yeah, Black Sun in the hizzle, all for shizzle dizzle. We're waiting on Nature Mom to get here, man. We'll give a shout out to MD. MD, what's going on? What's going on?
Hey, what's happening? What's going
Oh
on?
man, nothing, man. We're gonna deal with this France today. Um, I believe Nature Mom has. She just told me. Uh, I think two people from France. So again, we waiting on her to get situated with the sound with the guests. So y'all bear with us. So um, while we're waiting, let me see if I could pull up a article real quick so we can kind of get everybody acclimated on the topic. Let's see, Facebook. I believe I sent. I believe we did this on the arena abroad. So I'm just gonna brush up real quick. Let's see. Let's see. I mean, they look into the messenger because I believe we just covered this. Okay, so okay, let's see. Let's see. Let's see. I haven't seen it yet. Goshen's Mansion. Yeah, we talked about that. Okay. Okay, let me see. Okay. Are we live? I'll just send her a text. We live. Okay, there we go. Right on time. Right on time. I just sent her the dang thing. Add stream. Nature Mom, you there? Oh man, your sound. Oof. Yeah, your sound is bad. Uh-oh. All right, y'all. Let's bear with Nature Mom. Her sound is bad there. Guess what we're gonna have to start doing is doing sound checks on Nature Mom, like before the show. All right, y'all. So we're bearing with Nature Mom. Let's do some sound checks. Sound check get guess. Okay, let's see here. Okay, we got. Let's see. Yeah, yep. Damn. So let me all right, let me pull up an article real quick. So let me just test this out. Pull up this article while we waiting on Nature Mom. Let me pull this up just real quick here. Parrot shooting. Okay, so here we go. So just to recap, y'all. This is just a recap. Let me do a share screen real quick. This is just a recap. Let me present. Boom. Oh, yeah. Nature Mom, I'm gonna mute you out. Let me know when you get things situated. Let's see. Okay. Okay, so real quick recap, y'all. Real quick recap. So we got uh why are the riots in France and where are they happening? So as we recall from the arena abroad, we had talked about, how they were basically. I'm not going to read the whole article, but I'm just going to go through bullet points here. So Um, let's see. So we had cities like I said, Parisian suburbs, Lyon, Strasbourg, Metz, Nice, Toulouse, Saint-Ouen, and Tours. These are French cities that have been affected by the riots. And the UK government advised Britons and France to avoid areas where riots are taking place, obviously. Okay, obviously. And let's recap the teenager who got killed. So the teenager was a 17-year-old who died last Tuesday. His name was Nahel. His mother was from Algeria and his father was from Morocco. And as I recall, he was driving. He was driving. It was started off as a routine stop, and he was driving Mercedes Benz. It was about 7:55 a.m. in the morning. Police attempted to pull him over. Um, he disobeyed, and so that gave them green light to goddamn use lethal force because basically in Europe, in France per se, you travel with a car they use is deemed as a deadly weapon, so they are um, authorizes use lethal force. So and that's what happened. So let me unmute Nature Mom, see how she's doing because they choose to mute themselves. Okay, okay, cool. Nature Mom, just unmute yourself when you're ready. Just unmute yourself when you're ready. So yeah, traffic stop. The boy gets killed. There were already tensions in France. Like I said, with the immigration, with also you had like the situation with Macron, he raising the age up, the social security age from I think it was 55 to 65. So people still mad about that. As y'all know, the Ukrainian war has kind of taken a damper on the economy. Not only like Germany, they're going through recession, but by Germany being the backbone of Europe, it's starting to have a domino effect. With that domino effect, you're having, uh, energy, gas prices go up because, say like I said, Germany was the fuel line to getting the cheap crude oil from Russia. And Russia, now remember, I've said this, Russia, with the pipeline, you had the Nord Stream pipeline and you had you still, yeah, your mic is still bad. Yeah. Yep, yep. Let me see. Yep. See. Okay, so anywho, um, we have the Nord Stream pipeline feeding that was feeding cheap petroleum to Europe, and so now, like I said, a domino effect. Now you got Germany in a recession, um, and again you have again you have France. France raising their age limit to the Social Security. So a lot of people are already upset with the immigration situation, and so now it boiled out now to this young kid getting shot and killed, and so yeah, they're rioting. And when I saw some of the rioting, I saw some of the clips. Let me see if I can pull up a clip. You had like people running cars into police stations, and as MD and I talked about, you had people with automatic weapons. You had people with grenades. Basically, you had these cities in France looking like Ukraine. It's like, and funny I should mention Ukraine because Putin had something to say about it. You know what I'm saying? He said, You guys made fun of me talking about a coup d'etat in Russia, and I'm paraphrasing, but it looks like a coup d'etat in France from what we're looking at and seeing. So yeah, Putin even chimed in on the riots in France, and yeah. So we're here today. We wanted to get Nature Mom's take. I don't know how many guests she has. Apparently, we're having technical difficulties with Nature Mom. So again, we're going to wait on her for to get situated. I do apologize, y'all. Preparation. Two. Yeah, we got okay. We got two guests. Okay, so she sent me a message saying we got two guests, and yeah. So let me see if I can get some. Okay, so we got Johns and Malik. Johns and Malik. Okay, so um, Nature Mom, did you give them the link so they can join us? Maybe we can get them on while you're waiting to fix your microphone there. Send them the link. Send them the link. Send them the same link I sent you. They're here with me. Oh, okay, okay. So y'all trying to do a multiple. Okay, got you. In studio. All right. So, all right. Let's see. That's the issue. Okay, got you. So they got a multiple setup. All right, no problem. No problem. We just have to next time we're gonna because see now I'm about to get into my musician mode because when you form a band, trying a new mic, see this is things. See having a band 101 when you rehearse. Nature Mom, this is what you do. You rehearse and you check things way before it's time to play. Go live. Just a little advice from the veteran. Little advice from your big brother vet here. I've done enough gigs and I've done enough. You got to do the sound checks. You got to do like pre checks. Just word of advice. You got to get it together. Shout out to the musicians out there. Shout out to the people. Yeah, shout out. Okay, y'all. So, like I said, let me recap this real quick. So, guess were a surprise. No problem. No problem. No problem, but you still should have a mic check on your end. Just approved today. Okay, so they just were approved today. Okay, no problem. We'll get it together. We'll get it together. Let's see. Okay, so basically, why did the riots unfold? Nathan's death had fed long-standing complaints of police violence. So they're saying that systemic racism, police violence, um, okay, and then within low income, racially mixed suburbs, the ring, major cities in France, authorities deny that, of course. And even though the police officer involved and under investigation and for voluntary homicide, the president Emmanuel Macron has condemned the shooting. Okay, so that's good on Macron's end, but yeah, he's condemned the shooting. But according to MD, he was seen at a concert. What's his damn name? Uh,
Elton John.
Elton John concert, right?
That he doing his farewell tour.
Right, right.
Couldn't miss that.
Dale. Okay.
Can't miss
So,
that. Once in a lifetime opportunity to see Elton John.
right. I mean, yeah, we get the rides going on, but I got to see the Elton John. And we got to take the wife to the Elton John concert. Got to see Rocket Man for the last time. So, yeah, man. Um, very interesting news there. So, yeah. Police made 180 arrests. There's some 400,000 officers. Yeah, your mic. It's still choppy. It's still choppy.
Yeah, that don't sound like no mic issue. That sound like a signal issue.
Yeah, your signal. Yeah, I think your internet is bad. Yeah, it definitely sounds like your internet. Yeah, your connection, your internet. I think. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think Emdy's right. Your internet connection is bad.
Yeah, she might have to drop out and come back in and see if that
Yeah,
helps.
yeah, yeah. Try that, Nature Mom. Try to drop out and come back in because it's yeah, it's real choppy. Okay. All right, y'all. So yeah, as waiting on Nature Mom again. That's basically now she just sent me a message saying, hold on, that the riots were related to George Floyd. Okay, Nature Mom, we're gonna wait until you get your mic situated. We're gonna wait until you. Yeah, I don't want to steal your thunder. Okay, so she dropped out. She's gonna hopefully come back in. I don't know if it's that VPN thing. Sometimes she puts that thing on and it causes problems. And when she takes it off, it works just fine. So I don't know. We'll find out. We will find out.
She got a VPN. Well, she ain't QAnon, is she?
She be I don't know why she uses that VPN because every time she turns it on, it does this. And then when she turns it off, it's normal. So if she's listening, turn that VPN off. Try that, Nature Mom, because you know we always have the same issues with your VPN.
Nature Mom be on the dark web.
Yeah, man, for real. Right, man. So, yeah, the VPN be causing issues. So, you know, but yeah, man. So, yeah, but like we were saying, MD, I know we talked behind the scenes. It seemed like the news about the riots had died down. I guess, like you said, people were losing interest.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I haven't heard anything in the last couple of days. Again, to me, it's just another one of those situations where it's reactionary, low level collective thought, and there's what I haven't heard or what I haven't seen was any I guess you would call judicial outrage. I don't know what the version of Al Sharpton or Ben Crump would be in France, but I guess they ain't got none. That's why
Right.
we haven't seen any news the last couple of days. So
Okay.
it'll be interesting to see what the judicial outrage will be in this particular case, or if the case even deserves any judicial outrage.
Right, right. Because again, if it's a policy with to use lethal force if somebody's behind a car or vehicle, then it's going to be kind of hard to circumvent that into a legal case because or unless they try to get the laws changed. But if it's on the books, as far as like them being able to use lethal force, then I don't know. I mean,
Right. Well,
so
well, like I said the other day, like this situation is it's almost like you know what I mean? Like it's similar in some ways to a lot of the things that happen here, but it's also very different because we're talking about a group of people that are foreign uh, politically to the land of France. You know what I'm saying? Whereas
that's right.
like it's a difference. I believe I use like the mirror effect analogy the other day. You know what I'm saying? Like it's the same situation as far as how people view what we would call racism, white supremacy.
Right.
But on the same token, it's politically different because we're dealing with a people that's foreign to that particular land, whereas over here we're dealing with people that are trying to be constitutionally grounded in the United States of America, like i.e. black folk. You know what I'm saying? So
That's right.
it's a phenomenon all in itself. You know, if you would ask me personally, I would say that they basically jacked the quote unquote movement of what was going on over here in the wake of George Floyd,
Right.
and
Right.
it's certain things that you can obviously tell. Like I said, like I wish I could have pulled it up. You know, I'm driving right now, but
Okay.
it was actually a video where, like I said, the dudes beat up the police officer, and the dude put his knee on the police officer's neck, and the
Right.
other guy was taking a picture, trying to basically reenact the whole George Floyd situation. So, like I said, it's bizarro land in a sense because I would argue that those particular people politically, they fight is not in what we would consider racial injustice. Their fight is in their political foundation within the country as opposed to immigration.
Right.
That
Right.
would be my argument. You know what I mean?
Okay. Okay. Hold on one second, MD. Nature Mom, your mic.
How does it sound now?
It sounds good. You must have turned your VPN off.
No,
Oh, okay.
actually, when you said that, we realized we were connected to the Wi-Fi here, so we had
Okay.
to completely bypass the Wi-Fi. So good call, MD. It was our overall system. So
I ain't gonna charge you for that.
okay, thanks a lot. 'Cause we
Yeah.
probably couldn't afford your fees. So
No, no. This one on the
uh,
house.
oh, thank you. Thanks so much for the patience and everybody out there who's being very patient with us. It's great to have guests join us and John's is here. Can you guys see us as
Yeah,
well this
John.
time?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, and Malik
Hey.
Malik is actually from, can I say, like, Pennsylvania,
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia, Philly.
Okay.
Ah, and also John's, like what we say, practically grew up in the U.S. and in Europe and in Brazil,
Yeah.
so really moved around, and has grown up visiting France quite often. So we're gonna get a lot of like firsthand insight because these guys were
Okay.
just there,
Okay.
and so they were sharing. They just came into Qatar today, a few hours ago, and they were sharing a lot of insights with me. So can we just like kind of go right into their insights because we've used up so much time today?
Yeah. Let's jump right into it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you guys were just there. And I want to hear your experience, especially like from American point of view, and then from your experience growing up and visiting regularly. So tell us a little bit. We'll start with the last visit, and then we'll go backwards. How's that?
That's fine.
All right.
There it is.
I guess I start.
Yeah.
Okay, hi everyone. Like we're just last week in Lyon, which is I think the second biggest city in
In
France,
France,
and
yeah.
it's close to the Alps and also the Mediterranean Sea. And so I'm originally from Brazil, and I moved at age 6 to Germany, to Düsseldorf, the capital of a state that used to belong to France. It used to be the Grand Duchy of Berg, ruled by Emperor Napoleon until 1820 something.
Okay.
And there's a lot of French influence, but I mean, Paris is just 4 hours away. We're on the German side, but being from Brazil and growing up Catholic, going into France is always a different experience because when people look at me, they always assume that I'm Moroccan in Europe because there are not many Brazilians or many Latinos per se. So they right away, oh, you're not African or Moroccan or
Mhm.
Tunisian.
Yeah.
And then right away they have a threat, because to the French, the threat is more the foreign man, specifically
Mm.
if you are Muslim or
Mm.
African, that's more. But if you're a Christian and happy from Latin America, then all of a sudden you're not a threat. And we
Interesting.
got stopped by police before in German cars for my brother, and when they see a rosary, they let us go. But at
Interesting.
first they assume, oh, it must be some Moroccan. They might it stopped. I swear by God, we got stopped before with my
Wow.
grandma. They asked my grandma to get out. My brother, who was the driver, and I. Supposedly, we didn't stop at a red light. And then when they saw in the front the rosary, they're like, "Oh, go."
Wow.
But you know, if we had,
I mean, so that poses a very strong question here. So, is this more about the black citizens of, or black and brown Algerian mostly citizens of France being from Muslim backgrounds versus their skin color?
definitely, because they
Wow.
exotify anything that's kind of brown. You see French like they a little bit brown, especially if it's something like Tahiti, French Polynesia,
Mhm.
Brazil, something that's for them soft and still Christian and that they can identify themselves with.
Interesting.
But then for them, something not African is harsh, Morocco and so that's the threat.
Wow.
And that
Wow.
goes for most of Europe, really. That's from one side. I think the Ottoman Empire kind of went almost to the doors of Austria. Then on the other side, from Spain almost to the mountains of France, the Moors and the North
Yeah.
Africans. So they're always in this situation that they believe that the foreign will take over, and the foreign to
Right.
them is different skin color, different religion.
Yeah.
And that's ingrained in every French person's mind until today. They
Wow.
don't overcome that mind,
Right.
that ideology and their mindset.
So, being from Philly,
Mm.
and was this your first time visiting France?
This is my first time visiting France. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, so like, tell us about your experience.
My first experience in regards to me being there, for the most part, I'll be honest with you, it was pretty cool. Uh, up until the end, in regards to when I was talking to you earlier,
Mhm.
I went down for breakfast and I just felt a lot of tension in the air, not off the basis of necessarily my skin color, but more so um, my energy in regards to the way that I talk and the way that I
Like, carry yourself.
carry myself. And I
Mhm.
feel like I can't really speak for the European experience in regards to things that's going on right now, but in terms of being a man of color, when you carry that everywhere you go, they look at you like an enemy. They look at you as the opposition
Wow.
in regards to you just being yourself and being in tune with who you know yourself to be. And
I
I
mean,
mean,
so I mean, I don't want to get too deep into like your religious background, but let's
Mm.
say you're from a Puritan country,
mhm,
and we're yeah, we've had a lot of converts, right? But
right,
to be born, Muslim is usually something from the heritage
right.
that carries outside of the United States,
Uh huh.
right? So what do you think that tension was in that experience? Was it just like carrying yourself as a proud, brown
I
man,
yeah, I think it was more so me carrying myself as a brown man,
Mhm.
or not really off the basis of me being a Muslim,
Okay.
because I mean, if I don't got a thobe on, if I don't have anything to really ensure to you that I am a Muslim, you can't
And
really.
how are you gonna
How are
assume?
you going to know that I am a Muslim? So
Right.
I think it was more so off the basis of that,
Hmm.
in regards to, like I said, me just being myself. So
Hmm.
but I see that problem everywhere.
Hmm.
Even since the beginning of time,
Right, right.
we've been dealing with
Even within the United
being
States.
oppressed since the beginning of time.
Right.
I mean, even in regards to being an American citizen. My forefathers, they didn't come here off of the basis of freedom. We were enslaved.
Hmm.
So, you know, they had that perception of you regardless of where you go.
I mean, so as a man from U.S., and I'm gonna pose this question to you next, as a man from U.S., a man of color from United States, you know, you have this history. You know, whether we want to like hold it with us, it's the story is still inside of us.
Right.
Do you feel as you are traveling that you still kind of face those types of assumptions and those types of like, you know, adverse behaviors towards you because of it?
Absolutely.
Interesting. Because a
I,
lot of people say, you know, carrying the blue passport
yeah.
gives us a power that, you know, a lot of people don't have around the
No.
world. But
I honestly, in regards to things that I've seen, I don't necessarily see it that way.
okay.
But again, I can't really speak for everybody else on their perception of how they live in regards to wherever they are at. So I think even in regards to me speaking when I'm speaking, I'm trying to speak in terms of boosting my individuality and speaking in terms of everything that I see. So yeah, I didn't get that experience in regards to certain things that I see, even in regards to being in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. I've seen a lot of certain people or demographics have somewhat of a superiority complex, and they carry that regardless if they white or not. A lot of Arabs
That's a
that had
strong
that.
statement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then again, I think it comes down to the basis of how the system is implemented, and that stems from history, and you gotta be in a position to understand things for what they are, so you can see things for what they are, rather than going behind how your perception is,
Right.
rather than, you know.
So as an American man of color, would you say that even in Arab countries, you've faced, you know, let's say some type of struggle because of the way you carry yourself as a Black American? Or
I mean, yes and no.
okay.
Really, because I mean, being a Muslim country is just it is a bit different rather than being in Europe, so to speak.
Yeah.
Just off the basis that the thing that I see in terms of Muslims, we don't necessarily though you have people you can tell who are privileged and move with a superiority complex because of so. You also have people who are just kind-hearted people and don't see things for the perception of your religion, your sexual orientation, anything that you know they could classify you with. They move off the perception of just being a kind-hearted person. So I mean, of course you had that, but also, like I said, you have people who move off the perception of quote unquote being high class and classifying things that way. So
Okay.
yeah, I can't. It's hard for me to say just because I also haven't been there for so long too.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
I was
It's
only
different
there
when
for
you've
a few
lived
days.
somewhere, right, versus
Yeah.
visiting.
Right.
So if I can move this back to Jan's, being a man of color, you've been, you know, on several continents. You know, let's say in Brazil, you know, Afrocentric culture is, in a sense, very celebrated and elevated. And then you also live part time in Europe, where Afrocentrism is not celebrated at all. Can you like give us some insights on your experiences?
Definitely. And I think also like it all really stems from Europe, and they spread it because especially the example of France. In France, I mean, it goes for all of Europe, but especially France, you have to fit in. And it's a very elitist place, so they think. I mean, the median salary there's 1,900 euros a month. So after your taxes and rent and everything, these are not people that really travel the world and have
Right.
all kinds of means, they are a little bit close-minded.
Okay.
They live in their bubble, but they see themselves as elitist and as like classy and superior, especially the French, so they want you to fit in. If you go to France, you cannot speak French with a Senegalese or Mali accent or Moroccan accent. They want you to speak a Parisian accent. They want you to have a nice white shirt on, and the chino pants and matching. They take great value for their brands, and
Yeah.
you have to fit in completely, and it's super elitist. And the second that somebody doesn't really subscribe to that standard or to that culture, they don't get the jobs, they don't get to move around.
Right.
You become a second class. Like you see
Right.
these suburbs in Paris,
Mm-hmm.
and this is how people live their life, and they live
Right.
under such a small salary too, that they don't travel the world, they don't see much.
Right.
France is also, many people assume that France is a country that's very developed and all, but it's really an agriculture country. Like it's a very, it's not a Germany or Switzerland, It's
So,
very,
what do you mean when you say that? It's not a Germany, it's not a Switzerland. For people in the
Oh,
U.S. who have not
yeah.
been to
Okay.
any of these
It's not
places.
highly industrialized. It's
Okay.
like a lot of agriculture. A lot of people really, they go to school, they graduate, and they do a technical job and stay local. It's it's not a country that builds apps that we're using worldwide, or
Right.
technology. Like they are very small and in their boxes, but at the same time they see themselves as better than the Spanish, better than the Italians. They don't like the Germans because they lost wars. They don't. In Europe, we assume that, oh, European Union, everybody is happy and gets along, but
Right.
everybody dislikes each other
Right.
one way or the other.
Right. Right.
And everybody thinks that they are the best and that they know it better. And France, they hold on to this Christian culture and to
Yeah.
their arts and to their fashion,
Okay.
and they want people to really indulge
Buy
in
in
that
this,
lifestyle
yeah.
too. Yeah.
So, both of you brought something really important, and, jump in, MD and Black Sun, anytime. But I just want to like give people a perspective, because we've had the chance to be there and to experience it. I think listening to the two of you, something that came up for me is that when I traveled to France, as a Black woman, I really didn't know what to expect, but I, did have friends and experiences, from back home, that shared with me their stories. Someone very close to me, he carried a very French name, even though he had an African father, and that French name, because he carried his mother's name, got him job opportunities and like interviews that he would not have gotten if he carried his father's name. They wouldn't have considered his application at all. And he said it point blank. Is this something? Let's say you have experience living in Germany, living, in other places and visiting other places in Europe. Would you say that you've experienced that?
Definitely. Like for
Okay.
instance, in many people don't know it, in American CV, you don't put down your
CV
place.
resume.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
resume, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
In your resume, when you apply somewhere, you don't put down where you were born, the city and country.
Yeah.
You don't put down your date of birth in America.
Yeah.
You don't put down a picture.
Yeah.
By requirement, every resume CV needs to have a picture in Germany. So they already see who's coming. They know
Yes.
country of origin. They know your age. So there are many points to discriminate upon it. And
so you really brought something for me, and as we're talking about like comparing it to the Arab world as well, coming here, I was really surprised to rent a home, a residence. You have to post a picture, you have to tell them your nationality. I understand, show them your salary. I understand, let's say you have a certificate of employment, things like that. But to actually have to write on my application to the realtor what my nationality is, why do you think that is, especially in a place of people of color? What is the purpose of that?
they always discriminate. For instance, I work with real estate people in Germany, they don't like, for instance, out of, it might surprise people, to rent to Japanese men because they think that they don't take good care of the stuff because they used to be very sheltered by either wives or mother, and then when they go to work abroad as expats in Germany, that they destroy the places or drink much. So when they see, for instance, for the real estate company that I worked with, when they see that it's single man from Japan,
No way.
can not get rent.
Wow.
Muslim families with many kids, neighbors will complain, people stay up late, other festivities, don't like to rent either, So there is so many criteria. They have little things to discriminate against from their past experiences that they believe is a way for them to identify people, and that they apply. And the biggest fear of all of European, including in Germany, in the Netherlands, and everywhere, is what they call the Nafri, North African. Anywhere. Tunisia, Algeria, Morocco. Libya doesn't really count because they never really explored, and they had oil money too during Gaddafi, so they just go as medical tourists usually to Europe.
Yes.
And Egyptians are not really counted, but Moroccan, Algerian, which are the past colonies of France. France was in Tunisia, I think, until the 60s or the 70s. So these kids, they grew up with parents that grew up as second-class citizen in their home country,
in
North
home
Africa,
country.
under French occupation. So there's a lot of tension
Yes.
there. And France never, they don't do initiatives really to overcome it. There was never reparation paid. Most of the people don't get passports in these countries, so it's like they did a mass, they left it, and now when more and more the people come over to Europe, they want them to fully assimilate and adapt to the culture, and if not, they're going to systematically push them out.
Wow. I mean, I think that's a really strong statement. So, Black Sun, something I wanted to tell you was that, our guest, when there was this racial issue in Tunisia, ignited by the president, very recently, the president retracted his previous statements and then made an even further racist comment. So I think that's really interesting what Jans is saying right now, because once again, when you look at this man, you can see that he is a descendant of colonizers in one way or the other. He is not, a person that's indigenously from this area. And yet as the president, and of, a, we're talking about pretty responsible position making these comments. I'm not surprised what Jans is saying right now about there being this I think you put it perfectly, classic citizens of Tunisia feeling like second-class citizens in their own country. I don't think that, like I said, we can't really say that in the same way with France, because France, they, see themselves as a very white country. And although that's not the case, there's a lot of mixing happening everywhere. But
it seems like the great equalizer is the religious part, where they're, like you said, you get pulled over and saw the rosary beads, and it's okay, it's all good. He's Christianized.
Right.
And I'm assuming the guy that got shot, one parent was from Morocco, Algeria. So you're talking about, I'm assuming he was a Muslim, and there's already this, with the whole migration situation with immigration, there's always already an issue with that. And then on top of that, France, and I don't know, you guys can interject. From what I understand, the retirement age was at 55 and they upped it to 65. Am I understanding this right?
Such a big jump.
I don't know. I think it was actually just a raise of 2 years. I don't think it was 55. I don't remember the exact age, but I remember it was something just for 2 years. But to them, it makes a big difference whether they can retire 2 years earlier or later, and get their pension earlier, later. And their maximum week is 35 hours week. So there's a whole different approach, and they often take to the streets
Hmm.
especially when it goes about these
Well,
matters.
then let me
Yeah,
ask you this, because I don't know how long you guys have been there. Have you guys noticed a surge in the gas prices? Because they're talking about how Germany is under a recession right now, and the cost of gas is like through the roof because of the whole Ukraine Russia war.
Oh,
Is that
yeah, that's a real thing, and that was specifically bad this winter. I have
right?
many friends there, family. I lived there for 15 years, and I mean, utility bill went up because
Right.
you're not getting the gas from Gazprom for cheap from Moscow anymore, but now it needs to come through other ways, through pipeline through Norway or other things, and they still get it through Russia too, but through other ways and a
hmm.
little bit more
Interesting you
expensive.
said that. Put that
Hmm.
in your
Of
pocket,
course,
MD. Put that in your pocket, name
but
Shamam. Interesting you just said that. Okay.
they get it. Of course, it's just it gets them maybe through Turkey or other
Hmm.
nations, and it
Hmm.
gets to Germany
Hmm.
still. But the prices really went up, and the quality of life in Germany, which is the highest, or I mean, it has the highest GDP in the European
Hmm.
Union. I think it's close to 4 trillion yearly. Of course, doesn't compare to the US with 22 trillion yearly, but for European standard, it's high. It's almost double than France or Italy and the
Hmm.
other countries.
Hmm.
And you can tell the entire atmosphere went down. Like people are
Hmm.
paying more. They're not heating their places. Even
Wow.
people that I know where go to the house, it's not like your heater's up on max as
Hmm.
it usually is.
Right.
They're watching out because the bills skyrocket.
Hmm.
And I mean, they take it as the entire sentiment went down because the war is so close,
Hmm.
and they always portray themselves as these peaceful people and saviors of the world. But
Hmm.
then
Right.
there's a war, basically, there's only the buffer. I mean, the most powerful European country, Germany, and then there's a small buffer, Poland, and then there's basically Ukraine where the war is. So it's at the door.
Hmm.
It's at the
Yes.
door, and they feel it. There's this sentiment, like
Hmm.
especially in the winter when it's cold and they can afford
Hmm.
the gas. And many
Wow.
people, the salaries are low. People live in Europe on 1,500 euros,
Right.
2,000. Like that's attorneys make 2,500, 3,000. So
Hmm. Yeah.
it really went down
Yeah.
the
The quality
life
of
quality.
life.
Yeah,
So you make me wonder because I did get some news. I have Tunisian neighbors here, but they grew up in France, so their children, they know France is home. And they were sharing with me very recently, because of the war, they're living with rolling blackouts in France. This is not something that was going on when I was visiting and living in
yeah.
the region. So, it really makes me wonder, how do you feel that this could have an impact on, the increase of tensions between, the government, their policing system, and these citizens who probably already are getting, let's say, a lesser, quality of heating and lighting as it
Oh yeah.
is. So
Definitely.
could you like give us some insights on that?
Definitely, I feel like it's going down more and more and more. I mean, the pandemic really took a hard hit on Europe. Like I saw what happened at first in Italy, and then it rolled out at the rest. The economy really shut down more so than in America. They
Wow.
got more dependent on China too. So
Mhm.
they're playing best friends with someone they really don't want to be best friends with, but
Okay.
it's they're in this situation. And then
Right.
right after the pandemic, now comes Russia, and Putin is always the big threat also for the European Union for many years. So they live under, and the European, many Americans don't know it, but I always say Americans won World War II. So old Americans are happy they didn't go out as losers in the 50s, 60s,
Right.
40s. They could live their life. There was an economic boom. In Europe, it was the opposite. So they always have, and they're also
Good point.
they're not very flexible people. They're more like they do what they know. They're not the most optimistic and positive people in
Right.
their outlook. So for them, it's like one hit after the other, after the
Right.
other. So
Right.
they're in a situation where it's not like the summer of their lives right now,
Right.
for
Right.
sure, economically and politically, and there's a war so close by, which many can argue they really fund also through the European Union, through NATO, through many, you know, if Ukraine joins the European Union, that would be the golden ticket for them, because
Right.
so much money comes in. Agriculture is huge there with the grain, so that would be the win, and it hasn't happened for them yet. So they're still in that struggling position. They don't know, is it going to happen or not? Are we going to have this big nation joining the bloc and bring in, because it got expensive now. I mean, many companies in Germany, Switzerland, other places, they produce in Slovenia, in Czech Republic, in Poland, and cost of living got the expensive too. Salaries got the expensive too. So now they need a new frontier.
Yes,
and
a new cheaper frontier.
Exactly, cheaper
Yeah,
frontier.
yeah.
And so it hasn't happened yet. They're in this
So,
lingo, and
yeah.
they're not like the most optimistic in this situation. And Russia's putting pressure on them, and you feel it everywhere. It's tense. There are cuts probably for the police forces also in France. Like, even when you don't know what the entire spectrum is. France also, when we were at the airport in Lyon, now you saw people with the
like rifles.
Yeah, rifles
Wow.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Wow. That
In
wasn't that way when we were
in
there.
Germany, but they always have it also in the train station. They also have it around the Eiffel Tower. They like to show military presence. France.
I
but
did
now,
not experience that when I was there.
Oh, everywhere. It's very common. But now, when things like this happen, they step it up a degree more.
Right. Wow. So going back to the situation, you know, where the young man was murdered by the police. Something that's really interesting to me, Black Sun, and maybe MD would have some insights on this. One of the things that I realized during 2020, when the world was locking down and there were, you know, from COVID, and then there was this huge tension from the murder of George Floyd, and everyone around the world, you know, took to protesting against this atrocity, because I think for the first time the world could see it right in front of their own eyes, you know, with the tool of the internet and social media. And I think that was something that was missed in that the protest that particularly happened in I want to say in France and somewhat in Poland as well. And there's still protests happening. There are, you know, Black citizens, you know, or let's say mixed citizens, because in Poland, you know, we've talked quite often about like what I call the invisible citizenship there, which, you know, if you are born in Poland and you are a Black person, you're not even considered by your own neighbors as a citizen of Poland. You know, so, you know, the interesting part is people will, you know, speak to someone, a friend of mine that was born there, raised there, went to school there. They might have been the only Black kid in their school, but, you know, this is their culture. This is their home. And people would say to them in Polish, wow, your Polish is like almost perfect. And they would respond, well, I'm from here. And they're like, no, but really, you don't have an accent. And, you know, so there still in their minds, you know, there's this myth that they have citizens that are Black people born on that soil and have every right as they have to the culture, to the country as a citizen. And when I look at the situation going on in France, the difference, I remember when I was studying French, you know, many, many years ago in college in LA. And, you know, we, in the studies, especially when you get to the higher level classes, you're learning more and more about the culture. And one thing that keeps ringing in my head right now is Le Rai. You know, Le Rai is the music of the Algerians, especially in the French region. You know, they're blasting it from their cars. They're, you know, they're very proud because it's a representation of their culture in Europe. And, you know, now from that point, you have many generations of, you know, Algerians, you know, of other African, you know, diaspora cultures that have raise their children there, their children are French. And what's interesting to me is that there's still this miss of recognition, acknowledgement, sometimes trickling all the way down from the, government, the high government, that their citizens are also Black people. I think that is something we could probably relate to very well in America. But would you say something on that topic? Like, am I missing some details in that?
No, you're completely right. Like, I mean, citizenship, even in most European countries, it changed around the 90s because of supposed human rights. But
Right.
in America, if you're born in America, you're an American.
Right.
You can be born in Germany or in France, never left the country, lived there for 40 years, but if one of your parents is not from there, you are not from there. Like, I have a German passport. All my friends are born there also. You are never considered Aryan and German. You're never considered French and Franco related.
Right.
They always ask, where are you from? Even if you have the passport of the country.
A French passport in your hand, they're saying, where are you from?
Yeah, where are you from? And especially, and that is all over because they open the gates, they try to make humans watch rights and pretend like they're caring, but they try to hold on to their own culture. They feel a threat really to become something else more international, even though the European Union promotes it, even though business-wise they promote globalization and diversity.
Yes.
But they try to hold on to whatever little aspect they have of their culture. And I don't think, usually we would say there's nothing wrong with it, but in this aspect, it's very often things that stems from oppression and racism. It's always a counterattack when you do so, I think. When you have such a diverse, because friends went all over the world. They colonized from Vietnam to the South Sea of the Pacific to they were in Louisiana. They were all over the world, in Africa. But please do not come to France. Please do not,
Interesting point. Right. Wow. Yeah. We're going to come to your places. We're going to make you assimilate to our culture on your land, but don't come to our place. Don't bring your music, la rai.
Exactly. Do not come here.
Don't.
Unless you come for 1 week and stay maybe at the Four Seasons in Paris.
Spend the money and go.
Money.
Get out.
Get out.
Y'all can do the tourist thing, but y'all. Okay.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, MD.
Yes.
Okay. Hey, I had a quick question. So what's the political outlook in a lot of these different countries? Like, well, especially when we're dealing with the immigration aspect with France. What's the political outlook with a lot of these different communities with people of color, and and with you, Jan, from being from Germany, like, what's the political outlook like on a person like Olaf Scholz, like the situation with Macron? How do these different communities what's their perspective on these different political aspects of what we would say is I guess we would call a sort of nationalistic behavior in a lot of these different European countries?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And I always think they're still, even though it's a very long period, they're still very confused. They're in a phase where they are not fully anymore the culture that they were, but they also didn't integrate all these new people that are there. Like Germany, most immigrants are really from Turkey. And then there are many Arabs also. And I would say in third position would even come Italians. And believe it or not, they also don't like them,
Yeah.
They also don't like the Polish from next door.
They don't like
also
Polish,
don't like
I was going to say.
Swiss, because they're from the mountains and Iceland. Like, everybody has their thing. And these parties, in order to get grants also from the European Union and to not look like, because they all have
to not look racist,
especially after World War II,
right.
the Holocaust and everything. this in the position where they try to figure it out, and to the outside the politics needs to look like they're correct, but
Hmm.
it's not implemented. And also when you look at communities of people of color, they're very careful and they're very intimidated,
Mm.
because even when they have the citizenship, even
Mhm.
when they're born there and they don't
Mhm.
speak any other language but
Mhm.
German or so,
Yes.
they still don't feel like they're at home. So you're always in a position where you're very careful, because you depend on your livelihood on the
Yes.
system and these people. And
Mm.
like it makes it look like, oh, they're welcoming immigrants coming on boats through Greece and
Yes.
the Mediterranean, Italy, but it's not the case. They put you into refugee camps, they
Yes.
keep you there for 1 or 2 years in the hope that something will happen in your country and you can be
You
sent
can go
back.
back. Yeah.
Everything is very temporary. They
And what
don't
was
have a
the
solution.
the last huge refugee influx? It was
I mean, they had the Syrians. The
yeah,
Syrians
that
was
was
a
what it was.
huge
The
one.
Syrians was a big issue.
The Syrians was for the for Central Europe was a big issue, and then head of state, Chancellor Merkel at the time welcomed them, because she was in a political situation where if she refused, like Greece did and Italy, then that nation that had conducted the Holocaust would now look racist again. But then the population didn't agree to it, so
Yeah, it was a lot
they're
of
in a
tension.
position that they depend on the voters and what they feel. And again, these people live off less than $2,000 monthly. And when they vacation, they maybe take their car down to Italy for 1 week, or they go to Bulgaria or Croatia, but they're not well traveled people that open up their hearts to everyone. So they are very bubblish living.
Yeah, much more rigid,
Yeah,
in
and
their
they vote, and the politicians in America, for instance, they go out and they vote. In America, the politicians depend more on like big pharma and Wall Street and big corporation. But in these countries in Europe, they're more a representation really of the people. They just say what the people vote and what they want. They don't put in their own personality or their opinion, because in that second they would be voted out. So they're just there representing the mindset and the voices of people that are still stuck in time
wow.
politically.
So I guess like the next question I have to all four of you would be, what's a solution, to these types of situations? Because number one, we're becoming, a much smaller world. You have a lot of the companies relying on tech so heavily that there's a huge influx of Indians, from India coming. They're even like a lot of people just left here. They went to Canada. A lot of those guys from Canada, are also going over to, all of the like huge, like Google to Microsoft now, because their CEO is, Indian. And, I feel like if we don't, as the world is globalizing, and if we don't look at this issue, we're going to have many more situations like George Floyd, like what's happening in France right now. And one of the things I want to throw out before I have you guys like all touch on that question is that, again, one of the things that people don't realize is that the manifestations that were taking place in France during 2020 was not only for George Floyd, but I think that because of the George Floyd situation, they believed that they would get an ear. And that's, the world would also stand up for what's been going on in France for so long. And here we are today, and it's, we have another, administrative, induced race riot happening right now. So what is the solution as we move together, we move forward and start to move closer together?
Who wants to go first?
Yeah, who wants to try to tackle that question?
Well, I would have to ask first before I tackle that, Nature Mom, is like it seems like with Tunisia, France, and Germany, even with the whole Russia Ukraine war, even here in America with Mexico and Canada, the threat is always, it seems like when you talk about immigration, migration type deal, is always a threat with the economy. Like, oh, they're coming to take our jobs, and
Mhm.
so I think, like I said, because when you go with a passport, yeah, as long as you're an American with a
Mhm.
passport, and oh yeah, come spend your money with us, but don't come with. What I'm hearing is don't come live with us because there's not
Right.
enough jobs. The economy
Mm,
is bad. That's why I kind of talked about the economy. Like I said, even
right.
with and it's interesting. He brought up the petrol, how the Russian gas,
Mhm.
by that increasing, everything else increases, even here in
Mhm.
America. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? It's like right now, Biden is not addressing, the high gas prices, and based on our last president, the gas prices were cheaper. So now, guess who's running again? Because everybody is concerned about the economy. So, but it's always the root here in America.
And the
So
root cause. No,
it's
and
always
that,
the cause. And so again,
and
there's
I think what Yanzer just brought up a little bit earlier is it's not just in America. When
right,
you have, he gave us a historical perspective of, these race imbalances being reflective of, hard economic times in Europe as well.
right.
So,
And then let's talk about why the EU finds Putin as a threat. Okay, well, the great terror was communism. Okay, so now that Putin and the rest of the BRICS are, China, they're practicing capitalism. Now it's a problem because this whole war started because Russia is selling cheaper fuel. They give about, I want to say, 64% of the European fuel comes from Russia. And so now, like I said, when the economics become harder, then people start looking at, oh, they're Muslims, oh, they're black. You know what I'm saying? Then they start scapegoating and pointing at
mhm,
people. So based on what you guys are saying, the Europeans already don't like each other. The Poles, the people from Switzerland, the French, the English. The English, I can tell you, don't like other Europeans. I know that firsthand.
mhm.
So when you
I'll
have
probably say the same about Austrians.
Oh yeah, no.
the Austrians the same, okay. Well, I know people from
Oh,
England. They people from England hate each other, from what I
Yeah,
understand.
they had the Brexit. They're out. They're
Okay,
out.
okay. Well,
yeah, yeah, right. They left
They
EU.
yeah.
Yeah.
oh, so it's official.
Oh
Oh, it's
yeah,
been
yeah.
official.
For like 2 3 years already,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
completely out. Like no, I mean, in all
yeah.
ways. Like before, for instance, any European citizen could study in the UK as national students, basically the same
Okay.
price. Now it's considered as overseas, as if you come from
A
India. And
student from abroad.
yeah, exactly, it's
Oh.
abroad. And in all other aspects, also with the trade through
Mm-hmm.
that Euro tunnel, like it complicated a lot of things. Even when you go through customs now or through immigration, it's EU, then there's Switzerland and England and UK
Okay.
and third countries, third years. So
Wow.
they're not part of the
Yeah,
EU
I
at
haven't
all.
been back across the border since
Yeah,
since COVID.
no, it's
Wow,
very
it
divided.
changed.
Yeah,
Wow. Wow.
Well, that's
That's going to
another
be
thing
interesting.
too. Things have gotten tighter financially because of COVID worldwide. So
Mm-hmm.
I think the paranoia starts. Well, again, when people get nervous and get fearful, then they start pointing fingers. You know what I'm saying? And it's easy to point fingers at black people, Muslims, and every, you know what I'm saying? And if people are a migrant group, then they're going to point fingers because
Mm-hmm.
people
Mm-hmm.
are financially uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Things are
And let's not
uncertain.
forget, even in the United States, sorry to interrupt,
Oh no, go ahead.
we've touched on before that these statistics of lynchings raised when the economic situation was worse in the United States. So, yeah.
Well, it's funny, and MD can back me on this. We just showed where in Chicago, they were talking about how the migration is so bad and how they're going to all the black neighborhoods. So now what's that doing? That's turning the black people against the Hispanics. And now you got black people with signs talking about build the wall and you know,
Mm.
so
Building race tensions is what it's doing.
it's
Yeah.
building race tension because you got,
Mhm.
they're complaining in Chicago of all places, right? Chicago,
Mhm.
that the schools are being used for people to go, to go to sleep. Like, you just have a high migration, and then
Right.
believe it or
So
not,
like they're using them as temporary shelters or as permanent shelters.
permanent shelters.
Oh wow.
You
I
know,
was not aware of that.
and I don't know, is it John from Philly? Oh no,
No,
It,
Malik.
yeah.
I'm from
Malik.
Philly.
Okay, Malik. So I
Malik
know
is yeah.
you from. So I know you heard about Chicago and the
Yeah, for
crime rate.
sure.
So you
Yeah.
got people in Chicago complaining about the Hispanics bringing
Mm.
crime, and I'm like, I mean, it's funny because, as you know, Chicago has topped Philly, it has topped Atlanta, it has topped LA. Like Chicago is still at number one as far as like, uh,
Murder, homicides.
yeah, homicides, right? And now,
Mm.
now they're complaining about crime because it's a different kind of crime. You know what I'm saying? So you got cities, like I said, Louisiana, Chicago, Atlanta. Like
Mm.
Atlanta, the big thing now is, I don't know if you guys have heard of El Mencho and El Mayo. They have like safe houses here in Atlanta, and now you got people who. It's funny because you got people from Atlanta trying to rob people that are from the cartels, and it's crazy. So
Mm.
you got like street thugs trying to rob like cartel members, and it's
Yeah.
not turning out pretty here. So yeah, that's just here in Atlanta, you
Yeah.
know. And if you El Mencho and El Mayo are like two of the biggest cartels in Mexico, and yeah, they have safe houses here, and then so it's a whole another paradigm is what I'm trying to. So basically, what I'm
Mhm.
saying is that you have people here in America now complaining about the policies of Biden, allowing migrants to come in, and even though we've always had crime, now it's a different type of wave crime hitting that people are not used to, and so now they're saying, shit like build the wall. People that you never thought would be saying build the wall and raising signs and all that stuff, now they're complaining.
Buying into this, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I can only imagine that Europe is facing the same dilemma, and that's why when we did that show on the president of Tunisia, I mean, I guess politically, you got people who are from, I guess, the quote unquote Tunisia saying, okay, yeah, we got too many migrants, we got, and even if it's not crime, let's just say,
Yeah. But there's
um,
yeah, this is
okay, like playing the
what
music,
the
that's a real one.
this is this
Yeah,
is what the president of Tunisia was complaining about was
okay,
yeah the migration issue, and yet not realizing that his that his comment he generalized it to black people in general,
right,
forgetting that he's in an African country where the nationals are also black people, and it put a lot of it
yeah, but even with
citizens were dealing with more violence from like lighter skin or whiter Tunisians. And it's a funny issue to me because let's be honest, the lighter skinned whiter Tunisians are immigrants. They are not indigenous people from that region.
They come originally from Greece and
Yeah.
from Turkey through the Ottoman Empire when it was frozen.
France.
Yeah, France too. So
Yeah,
Tunisian
exactly.
are like mixed with everything, and many black
Yes.
Tunisians too. But still,
Yes.
you know, you're second class.
Yeah.
Even in North Africa, in these
Yes.
countries,
Even in
like,
North
you're
Africa.
second class
Yeah.
if you're
Yeah.
black. Unfortunately, still.
You know. So I mean, so far we know it's an economic issue that plays into this. There is traditionalism, or the need to hold on to culture, and even as Jan said, even culture that is dying out, but still trying to hold on to an old way of living that maybe it's time to move on from. So we also touched on there being, a migration issue, and that's leading into both the racism and the economic issue, possibly. What is the solution? How do we find one?
Um. So, MD, I think he had something to say. Shout out to Inyame, man. You can join the panel if you like. Shout
No,
out.
no, no. I was just going to say real quick. So when we talking about immigration, I think it's a different aspect to it in Europe than it is the United States. Whereas in Europe, again, we're dealing with resources and different allocation of resources. Where from a nationalistic view, Europeans might believe that since there is a lack of these particular resources in that particular area, it's taking away from. Now I'm talking about from a nationalistic perspective. It's taking
Mhm.
away from certain allocations. Like I said, when we talk about Gazprom and the raising of prices with that aspect, then on the same token, you have this influx of immigration. We've seen a rise in a lot of nationalistic oversight when it comes to political aspects. So I would believe, or I would be under the assumption that even when we talk about refugees, people that are immigrants that are able to obtain citizenship in these particular European countries, what is the political involvement for a lot of these different ethnic groups in these countries? Me personally, I haven't seen a big involvement in the political aspects of the country. I think that needs to change in order
Okay.
for the society to start to see the aspect from the view of these different ethnic groups coming from these countries, and
So,
and
like,
maybe
more
then,
representation.
right, exactly that I think that's a part that if I had to compare and contrast like stateside to Europe, I think that's where the difference lies. Whereas over here in the States, we have a large representation of different ethnic groups, not just black, different ethnic groups, representing for the and gaining the interest of these particular status. I don't think that we see that aspect in Europe as we do over here.
Mm.
So
And
that would
MD,
be my solution.
and
Would
MD,
you
can I?
100%.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
would
Go ahead.
would you agree with that?
I would say 100%. I think it's like going to Harvard to enter politics in Germany as a minority. Like, and
Mm.
it's probably similar in France and other people too. You see, for instance, in the UK, the mayor of London being originally from, I think he has a South Indian background or a
Mm.
South Asian background, but still he's also very careful with immigration.
Mm.
Entering politics in Europe is a very difficult thing. Like,
Mm.
you have to, it's very elitist. You have to be in a party. You have to have like a certain background. Some people get kicked out even because they supposedly, or they did or not, I don't know, I don't remember the politics or the news, that they had involvement in plagiarism for
Mhm.
their PhD. So it's, there is no space really. If you look at the German parliament, and if you look into other places too in other nations, it's not like in the US there's a, where there's like a party where they will join the Republicans or the Democrats. It's more so very closed off,
Mm.
very small,
So then,
very
once
elitist.
again, an elitist group,
Yes.
and usually the good old boys, they
Mhm.
run the group, and no one else.
And there's
So,
some parties like the Green Party, for instance, in Germany, that will have like, they're more foreign friendly inclined,
mm,
as well as with environment and all. But it's when you also see minorities or people of color in those positions, it's what I would say they're very, I don't know if this word is politically correct, whitewashed.
mhm,
They're very Europeanized, and
mhm,
they're it's not like I mean, America is also just starting now, but they're not, I mean, hijabs are not allowed in public schools forever in Europe, in France, in Germany. So you're not going to see it in the parliament. You're not going to see it in politics the same way. So when you see the representation of a minority name in those places, I don't want to call these people sellouts, but they're not mostly there really for the interest of the communities that migrated to these places and to conserve that, but rather so for a soft dialogue and communication. It's the same when they hire in the police force people in Germany, France, and Switzerland, and all that are of foreign backgrounds. It's like, oh, if there's a dispute in a Arabic household where there's, I don't know, domestic violence.
We'll go find Ali.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Send that person.
Yeah.
But this is not going to be the person representing your state. This is not going to be your head of state. It's very elitist still. So it's from my idea and from the people that I know that also did their schooling all in Europe and went to universities and work now, even if they studied law and all, very few judges of foreign backgrounds, very few politically inclined, because it's to get into those positions, you have to be. It's not.
So you almost have to have social clout to get into those.
Yeah, and you have to be also very aligned with the view of the party, and that's often dictated by capitalism and nationalism and these things. So you're not going to go in and say, oh, I'm here for my community, I want to save them.
Right.
No, you're there to translate what they're saying to your people in also very high words too, and it's even the language that is used, because English, I would say, it's often a simplified language. It's people who are not, but in Europe, the German you speak in parliament and the German you speak perhaps at home or in school or in the street are very different, also in academia, and not everyone has access to it. If you grew up in a household and your parents are not German speakers and there may be one Turkish.
Oh shit. Uh-oh. Naturemom, we just lost you. Oh shoot. Uh-oh, uh-oh. All right, y'all, bear with us, man. The conversation was getting good. I don't know what happened to her internet. Damn. Let me text her, let her know her internet just went out. Oh shit. Hold on, y'all. Hold on, y'all. Let me text her. Internet. On your end. Okay, I just texted her, y'all. Just text her. So, man, shout out to Naturemom. Hey, man, shout out to Inyame, man. I know. Inyame had a good statement. He said, "These nations love cheap labor from the immigrants, but hate the immigrants." Hey, Inyame, I that's why I was saying it goes back to economics at the end of the day and resources. We hear you. Okay, so they can hear us, but we can't. Oh shoot, I don't know what's going on with Naturemom's end. I'll reboot. Okay, y'all, Naturemom's about to reboot, so we're gonna she's gonna be right back. Man, shout out to Yame. Yame said great topic. He can't make it. Can't make it. Okay, yeah, Yame, man. Well, hopefully, man, you can join us on one of these shows one of these days, man. It's right up your alley. Shout out to shout out to Inyame. Shout out to Inyame. Man, shout out to Gideon, man. Shout out to Gideon, man. I guess you guys, everybody's working on Sunday, man. Shout out to y'all. Let's see. Getting fuel. Be right back. Okay, so MD's getting fuel, man. So I'm gonna hold it down, y'all. I'm gonna hold it down, man. So we're waiting on Naturemom to get back. A lot of interesting points. Again, I'm saying it's economics, lack of resources. People get in a frenzy because when things are getting sky high, people tend to get nervous. Even here in America, like I said, we got people in Chicago A lot of African American women, holding up Trump signs. I'm just gonna say it, Trump. And when you get that black female vote, hey, I think that's a done deal. Just here in America, speaking. I'm not even speaking for no other place, but here in America, um, Biden's not looking good right now, man. And let me get a little arena abroad on you. He just approved for Zelensky to get some dirty bombs. You're just giving Trump more fuel, and you're giving RFK more fuel. Okay, I think we got Nature Mom. Ooh, add to the stream. Okay, I think. Oh, yeah, I don't know what happened, y'all. Let me text Nature Mom again. Don't think. Okay, no sound.
Yeah, yeah, I got my headset on, but I'm fueling. Let me say this real. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you, MD. Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Yeah, hey, this is an excellent convo, man. I'm glad that I was able to join today, man. And getting a different perspective, especially from people that's actually on the ground. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's a good perspective to have. Like I said again, when it comes to how I look at the whole situation, we're dealing with people that are coming in these countries as refugees, not trying to garner any full-fledged citizenship as it pertains to the political process, right? I think that's where a lot of the tension is, as far as like the nationalistic behavior. A lot of these European countries, like it's not like the United States, where we're basically based off of production, different aspects of employment. Whereas over there, they're looking at it from a resource point of view, like you said, Black Son.
yeah,
Especially where the whole atmosphere of everything lies in Europe right now. So, yeah, man, like it's a different aspect. For with me playing the devil's advocate, so to
right,
speak, I think that it's imperative for a lot of these different groups to be able to garner some type of representation politically,
right,
not only to represent themselves, but represent still the national interest of said country, because that's the country you're in. Like I said, it'll be different if I didn't believe that these particular people just were coming in just to have a better life. Remember, a lot of these people coming in as refugees, meaning they're trying to escape some type of turmoil in
right,
different countries. It's
right,
different in the U.S. where I can see, okay, where's the what garners you coming into the United States as a refugee? What's constituting that? You know what I mean? I'm not going to make that same argument for a European country because I'm not a European, or I'm not a citizen of a European country. So I can't. That's not up for me to decide. But what I'm saying is the ultimate goal should be. I'm not necessarily saying that they may feel different about it, but the ultimate goal should be full-fledged citizenship in said European country. Now, once you have that full-fledged citizenship, what is your aim as far as the national interest of said country? What do you bring to the table, so to speak, in order to garner any political interest in said country? I think that's the difference between the way we view it here in America versus the way they view it in Europe. You know what I'm saying?
right, right. I
And
have to.
I don't see that. I don't see that representation, and I don't see the interest in being involved either. I mean, just keeping it real. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right, right. I mean, well, let me ask you this, MD.
Go ahead.
Is it a better advantage to come to America because of our Constitution as opposed to Europe or Germany or England?
I mean, me being biased, yeah. You know what I'm saying?
The reason I asked that, MD, is because you and I did a show on, I think it was it Michigan or was it Detroit, somewhere up in those
Yeah,
northern
yeah.
states.
It was Michigan. Yeah,
Okay, Michigan. We had an all Islamic council board,
all Islamic.
all Islamic, and they were like, "Yo, take that pride flag down. It's unconstitutional."
Right.
You remember that?
Well,
Okay, go ahead.
yeah. Like I said, it's an argument if it's unconstitutional or not. That's an argument to be made. I think it's going to be fought in Supreme Court. Because I mean, me being honest, flying a flag from an interest standpoint is, I mean, I would say it's not unconstitutional. I would say you could do it as long as it's acceptable of said community.
Okay, but that said community said it's not acceptable.
Well, there you go. You know what
And
I'm
then
saying?
another person can argue and put a Confederate flag up and say, what are we talking about here? I mean, MD.
Hey, yeah, that's a good example. The Confederate flag. The Confederate flag was acceptable for years after the Civil War.
Absolutely.
Only when it start to remember what I said. Anything like freedom is the aspect of you living the life the way you want to live it without hindering the lives of other people. Once
Right.
that thing starts to hinder the lives of other people, then you're gonna have a problem. So I can only assume that what I think it was the trans, because it's that light, it's like a powder blue and then it's pink and then it's white. It ain't the pride flag, it's the other flag. What's the flag called?
I think that it's the trans flag or something.
Yeah, the trans flag, yeah.
Okay, right.
So if the views and opinions of that community say, hey, look, we're not rocking with that, they got every right to take it down.
Right, and they did.
There you go.
Right, and but again, you're talking about people who got involved in. I'm assuming, and correct me if I'm wrong, they saw something in the Constitution that they could kind of relate to and grasp onto as a guide pin to how they want to direct their community.
Right. And they
So,
have every right to do so as long as it don't infringe on the rights of other people. They got every right.
so I guess I would have to ask, about maybe an English constitution or French constitution or even a German constitution, because I'm assuming that Tunisia don't have a constitution. Now, Nature Mom said something very interesting, and I noticed you didn't jump in. She said that Tunisia, I mean, belong to the darker skinned people, and then I heard them talking about mixtures of lighter skinned people. I mean, but I,
Yeah. You know where I'm gonna go with that one.
I know that's why I was kind of shocked you didn't jump in. So I was like,
Yeah, like I said, man, I've been driving
I know. That's what I
parts
said. I
of it.
said,
Yeah,
okay. I said, what, MD driving, man. But this is like my ears went up when that was said, and I was like, oh shit, wait a minute, So
yeah. Like I said, I don't know the ethnicity of the Tunisian president. I don't know what he is.
well,
He may be he may be Arab for all I know,
okay,
like ethnically. You know what I'm saying?
okay, but we
But I
do know,
but we do know that Tunisians are part of specific ethnic tribes in Tunisia, and we know black people are sub-Saharan. But hey, that's a different
that's all right.
topic
I
for a
got you.
different day.
I
You
got
know
you.
what I'm saying?
In fact, guys, I hope that's a topic you and Yami will debate one day as far as the North Africans. But yeah, we gonna put that in the back pocket, MD. Put that in the back pocket in Yami. We gonna come
Right.
down to that road. Put that in the back
I
pocket.
mean, hell, as a matter of fact, the whole thing with Tunisia, those were dealing with the sub-Saharan Africans that were migrating to Tunisia, and he distinctly differentiated the black sub-Saharan Africans from everybody else. Even and remember, we had the article. You remember we did the article?
Right, I remember. Yeah.
Even the darker Tunisians of Berber and Tuareg descent were differentiating themselves from black sub-Saharan Africa.
Right.
So there you go.
Right. But and that's a paradigm that, like I said, I definitely would like to see you and Yame, because I know Yame's he's very versed in that. So I want to definitely see you challenge him on that. And I would love to see that, man. So again, both of y'all put that in the back pocket, you know what I'm saying? And maybe we can come down that road, because yeah, like when Nature Mom said that, I was like, oh, okay, wait a minute, hold up. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
I didn't want to steal
But
nobody.
I mean, her point was still valid. I ain't
Okay,
saying that it wasn't, but that aspect, yeah, like yeah, that we would disagree on that aspect.
okay,
But yeah,
okay.
point valid nonetheless.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, man, hey, so Nature Mom, yeah, her internet is completely gone out, man. But man, good show, man. Thank you, MD, for showing up, man. Shout out to Inyame. Um, Gideon, he's in the chat, man. Um, I'm gonna ask her to if she can bring them back. I don't know if they're just in Qatar for the weekend. I'm gonna text her. Nature Mom, if you can hear me, I know you can still hear me. Ask your guests if they can come back to the arena, man. Was a great conversation. And if not, if they got to leave, tell them just to hit it. We could wherever they're at, we could still do another show. We could do a follow up show because I definitely want to.
Yeah,
Man,
yeah. Tell them to subscribe to the Arena Uncensored.
that's right. Yeah, subscribe to the Union Uncensored. Also subscribe to MD20, man. The MD20, man, y'all, because we got to do this again. We got to do this again. And Enyame, I know you can't make it up here today, but this is your wheelhouse, brother. We definitely need you on a follow up show, man. So yeah, shout out to Yami, man. But
Right, right, right.
yeah, man. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. What we got lined up for later on, MD?
Arena this week. Arena abroad Tuesday and Thursday. Watch for the sweep. If I was to give a preview of Arena this week, hey man, who's snorting cocaine in the White House?
Uh-oh.
That's what we need to know. Like who's sniffing blow in the White House? That's what we need to know.
You ain't talking about them cluster bombs, are you?
We talking about cocaine, cluster bombs, and everything else. I want to know who got the cocaine in the White House. That's what I want to know. Cocaine
Well,
was found. Like everybody knows. Last week, cocaine was found in the White House.
dang.
At a damn, what were they having? They were having some type of event at the White House.
Some type of dinner, yeah.
And Secret Service found a white substance. They evacuated the White House because they didn't know
Right, I thought it was
what the
anthrax.
substance was.
Yeah.
Come to find out, they tested it and it was the blow.
It was a good anthrax. It wasn't a bad anthrax.
Yeah, it was the booger sugar.
Oh God!
So we need to know who's sniffing blow at the White House.
Oh man, the arena this week is gonna be lit because I'm gonna ask question like who authorized those dirty bombs?
Yeah, who like we need to know. Did Jim Crow Joe, did he leave his party pack somewhere and forgot about it, or we don't know what happened? So that's what we'll be discussing this week.
Y'all
Who's
do not
sniffing
want to
blow in the White House?
Y'all don't want to miss the arena this week. God damn. Woo! Y'all don't want to miss it this week because I need to know. Was it Joe?
Joe Biden done turned the White House into a damn a bathhouse is what he done turned it into.
Damn, not a bad house.
Ain't no telling what's going on in there.
Damn. Goodness gracious. Goddamn the sugar booger. Damn.
Oh man. Nose candy.
Not the nose candy. The good anthrax. Oh god damn. Oh man. Damn. Yeah, it's gonna be lit, man. Any Freedom Series coming up, or I guess we gonna just wait till after Tuesday, or
I mean, if you're willing to do one tonight, we can do one tonight. If you're willing to.
I'm willing, bro. Shoot. Hey.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you'll have to stream it.
Okay, I have no problem doing that, brother. I have no problem doing that, man. Shit.
Yeah. That's what we got, man. That's what we got.
Okay. So would you say? I mean, I know Naturemom asked us before we go. Would you say it's all related to economics, or is it racism? I mean, what's going on?
I mean, you always go ahead. There ain't no getting around bigotry. You ain't gonna be able to stop it no matter what you do. Okay. I don't care how many regulations, policies. You can't stop somebody's individual action to think how they want to think. Will it turn into a low-level collective thought? Of course it will. Like people do stuff like that. So My solution would be not to focus on the racism, focus on the representation. What representation do I have that's going to allow me to be a full-fledged citizen of whatever country? It don't matter. And racism not being an obstacle that's getting in the way of my citizenship. That's the goal for me. You know what I'm saying? That's how I view American politics. That's how I'm going to view all politics. I don't allow racism to be an obstruction for the way that I live my life. And if it does become an obstruction, expect to have something come out of your pocket that's going to benefit me. I
Right.
think law at the end of the day is the ultimate force.
Right.
How can I use the law to my benefit?
Right.
Certain laws in certain countries may not be to the
I was
benefit of another person.
I
So
was
with
just
that
gonna
being
say that.
said, it with that being said, is it beneficial for me to be in that country then? If that's the case.
Damn, it's a good point, MD. That's a good point. Because I can only speak for what we got here. We got the Constitution going. I can't speak for them other countries. So all I can say, and this piggybacks on what you're saying, man, just abide by and learn the laws of those countries.
Learn them
Me,
exactly.
I'm staying here with the Constitution. I'm just saying. I'm just staying here with the Constitution because I don't know what those other countries.
Right.
I'm just I'm a little leery about moving to other countries. That's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
me.
If you don't know that it's legal for them to hinder my freedoms, why would I be there? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean I wouldn't.
Right. Well, like I said, we learned that day that they can lose lethal force if you're in a car because they consider that car a lethal weapon. So they can.
But that's not racial. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's not what. But somebody who don't know the laws will take it as being racial. But like you said, if you don't, I mean, yeah, if you don't, know the laws, then racism, white supremacy.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel you. Well, I
So
mean, again, that's what we got to deal with. In this particular society. Like
right,
how at what point in time are we going to stop allowing ourselves? Now I'm talking about not just black folks, but all people that look in the eyes of the oppressed, right?
right.
When are we going to stop, pushing everything politically on the aspect of race? When is it going to happen?
Well, you already said that now that the whole and like I said, we got dirty bombs. I mean, you're going to see more right wing nationalistic groups come out in Germany and France. You know what I'm saying? And even I'm sure Belgium too. I'm sure, damn
Right,
sure in England. So again, they've even said, you know, John and Malik said that hell, Europeans don't even like each other.
right.
The Poles don't like the damn to some extent, you know what I'm saying? You got them people. And it's funny because Poles and Russians come and Ukrainians, they come from the same source.
Yeah, same stock. Yeah,
They come from the same stock, but they don't even like each other. So, I mean,
but again, that's more of a nationalistic thing,
right,
and really not an ethnic. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, hell, in Poland alone, you got gypsies, you got ethnic Slavics, you got a lot of different people. So that's why I said, how can we toe the line with dealing with nationalism and at the same time preserving our culture as whatever ethnic group that we are? Like, how do we toe that line? You know what I'm saying?
right,
Or is it even possible? I say yeah, because culturally I'm black. I'm always gonna be black
right.
culturally. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But my nationalistic aspect will always be American because
Oh,
this
absolutely.
is what my people fought for. You know what I'm saying? I don't think they was fighting to differentiate myself from this country at all. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And even in that aspect, you got people here just like you, but disagree with that stance of the Constitution, of the you know what I'm saying. So it's kind of, you know, they want to move to like a black land, and they want to just, I don't know. It's again, people here in America who think the Constitution is violating their rights, and it just, I don't know. But hopefully we'll deal with that issue, man. Shout out to Yang, because I know he wanted to do critique one of our videos. And Yang, if you're listening, man, you are more than welcome to critique all our videos. All our videos. Take your time. Take your time. Because I say this again and again, it's not the Constitution you have a problem with. It's the people violating your constitutional rights.
Right.
I stand on
That's
that.
it.
Yeah.
That's it. That
So
is it.
yeah. So yeah, I would have a people issue with the people violating your constitutional rights too. So you know, so yeah,
I,
but
I
again,
think the real question would be, what are you gonna do to stop it? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what are you gonna do to combat constitutional rights being violated? Hell,
I
not
agree.
just for you, but for any person.
Anybody, you're right, right.
So yeah, that's where we at with it.
All right, well, shoot, man. Hey, man, I enjoyed this one, man. Hey, y'all, uh, John and Malik, make sure y'all subscribe to the channel because we do want you guys back on. Everybody,
Yeah, shout out to them, man.
yeah,
That was
man.
a good conversation.
Yeah, it was great, man. Man, shout out to Naturemom, man. Great questions, great interviewee, man. Yeah, we got to do this again. So shout out to them. I hate the internet went out, but next time, you know, like I said, we're gonna do another show. So y'all stay subscribed, share it, man. Hit the like button. Hopefully we can get, like I said, get Yami on here, get goddamn Gideon on here, man. Let's do a round table. Let's do a round table. Fuck it. All right, man. Man, MD, you be safe out there on the road, man. And man, we'll see you on Tuesday, maybe before Tuesday.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll chop it up. We'll
Okay,
chop
no
it up.
problem. All right, y'all. With that being said, man, shout out to everybody in the chat. With that being said, we out, y'all. Peace.